remember when we all started Zooming? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? And people were right up to the camera going, can you hear me? Wait, I got it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see your nose hairs, right? So thank you, Dorothy, for that. Anyway, I don't even know what to say about today. I'm speechless, which for those of you that know me, it's not a thing that happens very often. But today is amazing, and the information that we have heard from all of these women is just mind-boggling. I can't believe it. And so I just want to thank everyone that's come, and the speakers, and of course our Dorothy. Cheers, yeah, back at ya. And I have a little bit of information to share that I hadn't planned on, but I forgot what my bio was, so you brought it up. Anyway, we are close to 4,000 views cumulatively over our 26 episodes. And yeah, it just, whew, right? Yeah, thank you so much. But we've heard a lot today about fear and powering through and managing the fear that stops us from doing what we're doing and thinking more positively. And these are all things that are so very, very important. I heard one of the speakers talk about passion, and we hear a lot about passion, and when it happens to you, when you know you're on the right track, you will know you're on the right track because doors open, people show up. It's almost magical. And how many of you here today have really heard a theme? With all the speakers, it's almost like, Dorothy, you sat with these folks, all of us, and planned out what needed to be. So you talk about that, and it's all going to come together. And I'd also like to take a moment and congratulate McKenna and Jessalyn, because I remember sitting in this room last year, and these two young gals were there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're gorgeous. I just really want to be your age again. But I've had my turn, so, no regrets. But they spoke today, and it just blew me away, like in 1 year. And I also remember the first Biz Brigade that I was at, sitting in the audience going, I really want to speak, but I'm scared. I am so scared. Am I smart enough? Is my business successful enough? Am I pretty enough? All of those things. But Dorothy, it was in another room at the Chateau Louis, and it was a reasonable room, but it wasn't huge like this. And we had a couple of speakers, and they were amazing. But look at this now, and it's just about knowing in your heart that you've got this. What's interesting, which is why I named my presentation Inner Critic, is because we all have one. How many of you have thought thoughts that have gotten in your way? Right? Yeah, constantly. And seriously, today the biggest thing I was worried about was, oh my gosh, my toe polish doesn't match my fingernails, because I took my shirt to the salon and said to the tech, I need a color that matches this. So she picked it. Anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. So, our inner critic. We all have an inner voice. Is it a friend or a foe? Is it an inner coach or is it a critic? When things are going well and your mind says, oh, good job, you're doing great, that's cool, that's good. But when that critic says, are you kidding me? You want to do what? I don't believe it. And that happened to me with a fury a couple of years ago. And once again, thanks to Womanition, I received a call from an online radio talk show. And it was because I had my Womanition picture and the video that Jessie did on somewhere on social media. It wasn't, Ticker Talker or one of those. Yeah, I know. I said it for fun. It was a laugh factor, right? I know it's TikTok, but I'm going to learn from this wonderful gal at our table. So now where was I? So Close Up Radio contacted me through social media and said, we saw your stuff, we'd like to interview you. And I'm like, sure, right? And it's like, I saw that sign in Starbucks. It said, say yes to what's next. I'm like, well, the talk show or the interview is next. I'm going to do this. I went and got a landline installed so I didn't lose any kind of connection with my cell phone, and I worked with a scriptwriter, and it was beautiful. So they call just before the show, because it's all telephone at this point, right? And this wonderful man says, he actually produces People's Court. And I went, I'm right up there. I'm talking to this guy that produces People's Court and Judge Judy, so I'm running with the bigwigs now, right? And so he says, forget about working with a scriptwriter. We're just going to Adlib. And I had on my Fitbit, and it shorted out. It's like, you're having a heart attack. It's like 156 beats a minute. I'm thinking, oh my God, how can I do this? I have no notes, I have nothing. He's like, we're just going to ad-lib. I'm like, ad-lib doesn't happen in my world. But we did. However, just before we were to air, I seriously had, well, maybe not seriously, but I'm thinking maybe 8 dozen thoughts. What are you going to do now? This guy's going to come on and introduce you, and then he says, and she's going to change the world one person at a time. I never said that. Right? I'm like, he's lying. I will have no business after this. Right? So anyway, the music comes, the starters. He's like, don't worry about it. I got your back. I'm like, you better have my front too. So he asked me one question, and this poor guy, can I say poor bugger? This poor bugger. Oops, sorry. This poor guy, sorry, I'll pay $20. Swear jar, yeah. So this poor guy asked me one question, and all the adrenaline just came spewing out of my mouth. And he said, about 12 minutes later, oh, can you just, wait a minute, Gail. I'm like, nope. You didn't want a script? I'm going to show you. But the thoughts that I had before that were staggering. And I thought I could hang up. I could. And leave him hanging there because he asked for it. Or I could go through with this. And what if I go through with it? What might happen if I go through with it? So fast forward. Social media again. And again, it wasn't the TikToker. It was LinkedIn. And this gal reached out and said, have you ever considered having a talk show? And I'm like, well, thank God I'm finally going to make money with my mouth, right? So it's like, blah, blah, blah. So I said, no, but I'd love to hear more. So I listened, and I said, sure. Right? Say yes to what's next. A million thoughts. What the hell have you done? You know nothing about having a talk show. You don't have content. You don't have guests. What are you going to do? So I decided that there was going to be a time when I was going to challenge what was going on in this spot, between this and this. And at the end of the day, ladies, we have a choice. We can listen and believe what's going on in there, but we have to know we're not our thoughts. They're just our thoughts. Things change in life constantly. Thoughts come, thoughts go. We cannot identify ourselves with our thoughts. That's very dangerous. So because I felt the need to figure it out, I came across a book by Ethan Kross, and he wrote the book, Chatter, Why It Matters, or The Voice in Your Head, Why It Matters, and How to Harness It. So this is what Ethan has taught me, and it's working. He said, give your chatter a name. And my chatter gal's name is Gloria. And even now, she will come out and say, really? Are you smart enough? Are you pretty enough? Are you this enough? Are you that enough? What have you done? What a stupid thing to do. Please promise me today there will be no more of that. Or, what was that? What an idiot. How could I be so stupid? Well, it's easy. We've all done it. But you don't have to keep reinforcing that. But he said you must think of yourself out of the picture. Do not immerse in your own situation. No matter what you're thinking, So mine is Gloria. So I'd like you to think of a name that you would like to call your inner chatter person. Because he said, when you step back, when you detach, it's like you're having a dialogue with someone else. It's very different than having that dialogue with ourselves. You got to get the book. It's really, really helpful. And today I have a couple of minutes to just share these things with you. So he said, don't immerse yourself in it. You step back, you zone out, right? What happens when you zone out? You get a bigger perspective. Put your hand up in front of your face. And what do you see? Not much, right? Pull it out. Now you see lines. You see a ring. You see stuff, right? I don't know what's on your hand, right? But you see it in a different way. It shifts your perspective. So when you zone out, you're able to get a grip. And when you do these things where you are thinking about, oh, why did I think that? And what an idiot. And don't go there. When you are choosing to change this habit, because this is what it is, it's just a habit, and habits can be changed. If you want to read another good book on that, which will really complement Cross's book, it's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Because we can all change, we have a choice. So you want to get these two books, wrap your thoughts around those, and start to change those thoughts and challenge those thoughts every day. What would I be? Who would I be if I thought a different thought? What would my life be like? How can I change my story? No one can change your story but you. That's it. That's the long and short of it. Sometimes clients ask me, how can I get rid of these thoughts in my head? How can I get rid of them? And my answer is very, very complex. Please get a pen. You have to write something down. You can't. That's it. That's the long and short of it. That's a simple answer. You can't get rid of them. They come. They're involuntary. But you can change them. All you have to do is get intimate with yourself and talk to yourself as if you were talking to your best friend. And then when you learn all this stuff, you can put it on the TikToker. Right? All right. So enough said. Have a beautiful afternoon, and thank you so much.